A man and his wife lived with their dog Nero. One day, the wife heard the gospel and became a Christian, joining a local church to the great displeasure of her husband, who remained an unbeliever. He forbade her from attending the church and punishes her every time she does. Yet, every Thursday, by 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., she goes to the church for Bible studies, and every Sunday by 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., she goes for Sunday service. Their dog, Nero, follows her to all the services. Once they get to church, she finds a seat in front and sits down, and Nero finds a spot behind the church to seat. They pray and sing, then the pastor comes up to preach. After his sermons, he makes an altar call, inviting those who have any special prayer needs, or those who want to receive Jesus into their heart. The wife steps to the altar every time such request is made, and Nero follows her. At the altar, she specially prays for her hardened husband, asking the Lord to save his soul. Every time they return home, the man punishes her again and again for breaking his rules. She never allowed the punishments to stop her from going to church the next service, and Nero never stopped following her. In every service, she steps forward every time the pastor gave the special invitation, and she had just the same prayer, that God will save her husband. Nero follows her to the altar every time. Back home, the punishments never stopped. This went on and on for a long time, until one day, in great rage, the man punishes her out of proportion, after one of those services, until she stopped breathing. She was buried, and the man was left alone with their dog Nero. But, the man noticed something. Every Thursday, by 4 p.m., their dog, Nero, leaves home and returns after 6. The same thing happens on Sunday, by 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. The man became curious, and wondered where the dog disappears to. One day, he decided to find out. He dressed up before 4 p.m., and kept an eye on Nero. Once the dog left home, he followed behind. The dog moved and stopped in front of a church building, and entered inside. Finding his usual spot behind the church, he sat down. The man followed suit, and entered inside to find out what was happening. He found an empty seat at the back and sat down. The people sang the usual songs joyfully and prayed, after which the pastor came up to preach. After his preaching, he gave the usual altar call. People stepped forward and Nero, as was his usual custom with the late wife, stepped to the altar. The man followed the dog, and finally gave his heart to Jesus, fulfilling the lifelong prayer request of his late wife. The end. This is based on a true life story in Africa. Tell us what you think about this story in the comment box. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.